Okay.
Okay,
This is
thank
a
you.
wonderful platform for the all competitive exams in plant sciences, my dear friends. In this regard, eminent botanists are going to deliver their lectures. Huge experienced, eminent faculty. In this regard, CPGET 2023 free online coaching. Today's our eminent resource person, Dr.O.Padmaja Madam Garu, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Tara, Government College, Autonomous, Sangareddy. Madam is going to explain in the plant physiology, one of the important area in botany, especially heart of the botany, my dear friends. Better utilize this wonderful opportunity. Madam, please share your screen and start your session. Please welcome, madam.
Okay, thank you, Tirupati sir. Thank you for giving this opportunity. And I'm sharing my screen. Okay. Very good afternoon. Myself, Dr. Padmaja, Assistant Professor of Botany, Tara Degree College, Sangareddy. Thank you, Tirupati sir, for giving this opportunity, and also good afternoon to all the participants. Today, I'm going to start my topic of contents like stomata structure, type of stomata, transpiration, theories for stomatal movement, anti-transparents, and whatever that related to transpiration like conclusion. That means the topic is somewhat related to anatomy and the physiology. So the first of all, in order to knowing the transpiration and from which parts of a plant the transpiration is taking place in our house, everyone is having their ventilators and the doors and the windows for the exchange of gases for the carbon dioxide and to the oxygen to enter. So they are called as the opening of our house. Like that only, there is a opening parts are there on plants. They are called as the stomata. So the stomata, if we have to know the structure of the stomata and how the stomata are there in the dicots and the monocots, and what are the types of stomata are there and which life process is taking place in the stomata. So we are entering into our topic. Stomata are the minute pores that are occur on the epidermis of the plant cells, and even that some of the stomata are of the distribution will be of different from the upper epidermis and the lower epidermis of the leaves, and each stomata is surrounded by the two guard cells in the dicots and two dumbbell shaped structures like guard cells in the monocots, and these stomata are surrounding by the cells, the epidermal cells. The cells that are surrounding the guard cells, they are called as the subsidiary cells. So, these stomata, the primitive type of stomata, we also seen in the gymnosperms. They are called as the haplocalyx type of stomata and sylitocalyx type of stomata in the gymnosperms. And here, the well-developed structures are seen in the angiosperms. Each stoma consisting of a stomatal pore, a pair of guard cells, and the subsidiary cells. And each stomatal pore is a oval and elliptical in shape. And if we see the length and the width of it, when it remains closed, it is 19 to 25 microns in length and 9 to 12 microns width when it remains open. So the stoma is surrounded by two specialized epidermal cells are called as the guard cells, and each guard cells are again surrounded by the subsidiary cells. In dicots and monocot, the guard cells are typically kidney shapes, and in monocots, the guard cells are dumbbell in shape. That means if you see in the monocots like the graminea, we will see that dumbbell shape of guard cells in the stomata. And the wall of the guard cells toward the stoma is thick by 5 microns in meters, and with the outer wall is thin in 1 to 25 microns in a meter, and the guard cells contains the cytoplasm also. And here these two sister guard cells are interconnected by the plasma desmata. These are the connecting the two cells. That path is called as the plasma desmata, and this plasma desmata, the movement of the molecules or the movement of the food materials are also will be transported this plasma desmata between two cells. And guard cells and the stomatal pores are together called as the stomatal complex or the stoma. So the guard cells are surrounded with subsidiary cells. These subsidiary cells are also called as the accessory cells. And the two guard cells and the stoma, the totally by the subsidiary cells are called as the stomatal complex. So the stomatal complex consisting of subsidiary cells, guard cells, and the stoma. Stoma means the opening of the stomata is called as the stoma. So these all structures are called as the stomatal complex. And if you see the diagram of a stomata, here this is the green cells are called epidermal cells, and these are the surrounding guard cells. The guard cells are surrounded by the subsidiary cells, and inside they are the kidney-shaped cells are called as the guard cells, and there also contains the chloroplast, and the vacuoles are seen here. And what is the functions of the stomata? If you see, the stomata, mainly the life process that metabolic process that takes place in the stomata is the transpiration. So stomata transpires water vapor through their pores. The water will be evaporated from the aerial parts of a plant in the form of water vapor through the stomata is called as the transpiration. That means the stomata is playing an important role in transpiration. So during night and at the time of water scarcity, they remain closed to minimize the water loss from the plant. So this opening and closing of the stomata also playing a very important role in maintaining the water in the plant cells. And they functions as passage for gaseous exchange during the photosynthesis and the respiration. They are also helpful for the let out and intake of this carbon dioxide and oxygen through these pores. So during photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is taken in and the O2 is given out through the stomata. During respiration, O2 is taken in and CO2 is given out through the stomata. So by allowing transpiration, stomata helps the plant to develop a necessary physical forces for the absorption of. That means this transpiration is also helpful the plants in order to absorb the water, and in order to that ascent of the movement of water is taking place from the soil to the topmost, or the topmost from the branches to the leaves, that is called as the transport of water is called as ascent of sap, and the translocation of the mineral salts and the food substances. These are all be carried out by this indirectly this transpiration is helpful in all this process in the plant itself. And if you take these different types of stomata, this Chargaff classified stomata into various types on the basis of arrangement and the number of subsidiary cells. This important point we have to remember that depending upon the guard cells surrounded by the subsidiary cells, their number and their size, there are different types of stomatas are there. So the primitive type is known as the ranunculaceous type of stomata, or also called as anemocytic stomata. So here in this type, the stomata remains surrounded by a limited number of subsidiary cells, and the subsidiary cells are 5 in number. They are mainly seen that means the guard cells are surrounded by the irregular cells. So these are seen in Cucurbitaceae family and Ranunculaceae family. So the stomata is called as ranunculaceous stomata or anemocytic stomata. And in a crucifers, we are seeing that anisocyte, that means unequal cell will be seen here. And here the guard cells are surrounded by the 3 subsidiary cells. One is distinctly smaller than the other. And Here the rubiaceous or the parasitic stomata. These parasitic stomata, the guard cells are surrounded by substances which are parallel to the long axis. That means the guard cells and the substances are parallel. And this type of stomata are called as the parasitic stomata. They are mainly seen in Rubiaceae and Magnoliaceae family. And Caryophyllaceae or diacytic type of stomata. Here in this diacytic stomata, they are diagonally, these cells are diagonally arranged outside the guard cells. See, in this type, the stomata remains surrounded by two subcellular cells whose wall at right angles to the long axis of the guard cells. So, example, Lamiaceae and Acanthaceae. And the next one is the Graminaceous. In this, we are seeing in this, in monocots, we are seeing this type of the stomata with four subcellular cells, of which two are polar and two are lateral in position in Graminaceae type. And actinocytic, the stomata with 4 to 5 elongated radially arranged subcellular cells. Example is Musaceae. And cyclocytic type of stomata. In this type, 4 or 5 subcells are in the form of a ring around the guard cells, Ericaceae. If you see the diagrams, you can clearly understand the different types of stomata. So before knowing that the guard cells are kidney shaped in dicots and guard cells are dumbbell shaped in monocots, and here through these stomata the exchange of gases are taking place, and the transpiration is also taking place. And the transpiration means the water is coming outside from the aerial parts of the plants in the form of water vapor is called as the transpiration. This transpiration is considered as a necessary evil. This is also harmful to the plants, but it also maintains the temperature in the plants. At the same time, the movement of water molecule will be taking place, ascent of sap will be taking place, and translocation of solutes will be taking place, and the different physiological processes are also be taking place. So it is considered as a necessary evil by the Curtis. And here, if we see the diagrammatic anemocytic, that means the guard cells are surrounded by the irregular cells. So it is called anemocytic. This anisocytic type of stomata are seen in the guard cells are surrounded by the 3 substances. 2 are equal and 1 is unequal in cell. And in diacytic, these are perpendicular. The axes are perpendicular to these guard cells. So it is called as the diacytic, or diagonally they are arranged. And parasitic, these cells are parallel to this. If you see the fourth diagram and the fifth, that will be same. The guard cells are surrounded by the subcellular cells in parallel. That means the axis will be parallel to these guard cells. And actinocytic, here the guard cells are surrounded by the number of cells. And in graminaceous type, here they are seen in the monocots. These are dumbbell-shaped guard cells are seen, and they are surrounded by these subcellular cells. And here the tetracyte is surrounded by the 4 cells. So depending upon their arrangement of subcellular cells around the guard cells, there are different types are there here. And now, transpiration. So what is meant by transpiration? By which part the transpiration is taking place? If you see here, the loss of water vapor from the surface of aerial parts of the plant is termed as transpiration. So the transpiration was first discovered in plants by Stephenhurst in 1727. And they are also proved by the diagram that transpiration is taking place by the aerial parts of the plant. So here in our graduation also, we will conduct an experiment regarding to understand the transpiration by the cobalt chloride experiment. With this experiment, we can come to conclude that the transpiration is taking place by the stomata of the leaves. And here what the mechanism for the opening and closing of the stomata. Different theories are put forward for the opening and closing of the stomata. The important theories are how the mechanism are taking place and how the stomata will be closing and the opening will be taking place. First, mainly we have to remember that whenever that the guard cells become turgid, whenever the water entering into the guard cells, they will become turgid. As a result, due to this turgidity, the turgor pressure will be increases. This turgor pressure helpful for the stomata to open. So, in order to get the turgidity, what are the changes are taking place in the guard cells that will be helpful for the stomata to open. So mainly we have to remember that whenever that guard cells become turgid, whenever the water will be present in the guard cells, they will be open. Due to this turgidity, the turgor pressure will be increases and the osmotic pressure will be high. So the following theories explain the mechanism of the opening and closing of stomata. So first one is the active potassium pump theory. And this theory was proposed by the Imamura in 1943. And this theory was modified by Levitt and Lech et al. A group of scientists is called as in 2002. This is the most accepted theory. And here, according to this theory, the opening and closing of stomata are due to active transport of potassium ions in and out of the guard cells. That means the entering of the potassium ions and the getting out of the potassium ions from the guard cells. This theory is called as the potassium proton transport theory or hydrogen K plus ion exchange pump theory. So the potassium, the entry and the exit of the potassium ion in the guard cells helpful for the opening and closing of the stomata. So how this entering will be taking place, we will see in the stepwise process. So during daytime, what happens here? Here we are seeing that structure of the stomata and what are the process that are taking place in a guard cells. So the stomata is opened. First, when the stomata will be opened, when the guard cells become turgid. So when it will be turgid, when the water's entering into the guard cells. When the guard cells will be entered, the water potential decreases in the when the water is less in the guard cells. So in order when the water is less, so it will take the water from the subsidiary cells, from the surrounding cells. As a result, when the water potential is decreases in the guard cells, so the water and takes from the subsidiary from the cells into the guard cells, and as a result, the guard cells will become the turgid. This turgid is helpful for the opening of stomata. So how this water will be entering? What is the process that is taking place? So the kidney shaped structure you are seeing is the guard cells. You all know during daytime photosynthesis by the end product of photosynthesis produces the starch in the guard cells. So the starch is converted into organic acids like the malic acid. So as whenever this malic acid is produced, it is producing the K plus ions. So whenever the K plus ions are moving from the guard cell outside, as a result, the K plus ions and Cl minus ions will be entering into the guard cells. As a result, increased ionic concentration will be taking place. As the concentration is more, so rise in the osmotic pressure will be increases. Due to this high in concentration of K plus and Cl minus, the osmotic pressure will be increases. This osmotic pressure helpful for the water to take from the outside subsidiary cells. As a result, these guard cells become turgid. So how the process will be taking place? You see here in the diagram, during photosynthesis in the guard cells, that malic acid is formed. This malic acid dissociated to give rise to H plus ions and the malic. When the H plus ions are coming outside from the guard cells, these K plus ions are entering into this. In order to balance this K plus ions, Cl minus are entering into the cell. As a result, the concentration will be, the ionic concentration will be increases. So as a result, the osmotic pressure will be increases. That will helpful from the substrate to enter the water into the guard cells. As a result, the cells of guard cells become turgid, and this turgidity helpful for the opening of the stomata. So here this, if you see this, the H plus ions are associated or dissociated from the guard cells, and H plus ions are pumped out of the guard cells. So in order to equalize the charge of K plus ions are pumped into the guard cells from the surrounding cells. As a result, the Cl ions also enter the guard cells to neutralize the net charge of the guard cells. And due to these K plus ions and Cl minus ions are accumulated, and organic molecules of the guard cells make the guard cells will be more hypertonic. So more amount of these K plus and Cl minus are accumulated, and these organic molecules helpful to have hypertonic type of solution. As a result, the osmotic pressure of the guard cells will be increases. Whenever the salts are added here, the osmotic pressure will be increases. As a result, the water this higher osmotic pressure helpful for get the turgor pressure. As a result, the water from the water enters the guard cells from the surrounding cells. This makes the guard cells to become turgid, and whenever the guard cells are turgid, the stomata will be opening. That means here due to this process, the K plus, the H plus ions coming outside and K plus ions are entering into this, and this is helpful for the hypertonic solution in the guard cells, and the water will be entering into the guard cells. As a result, the guard cells become turgid, and the stomata will be open. And same the reverse process we are taking in the night time. In the night, the K plus ions are pumped into the guard cells from the surrounding cells, and K plus ions pass out. Here the K plus ions are passed out, and this is followed by moving out of Cl minus ions. So owing to low concentration of K plus ions and Cl minus ions, the organic acids in the guard cells become hypotonic, and this hypotonic helpful the osmotic pressure to decrease. As a result, the decreased osmotic pressure helpful for the loss of water, and the guard cells will loses the water and loses its turgidity and become flaccid. As a result, the stomata will be closed. So this opening and closing of the stomata will be taking place by this active pump theory. And next one is the starch-sugar intercourse. Due to this, also the opening and the stomata will be taking place. So the theory according to this, the closing and opening stomata are due to osmotic pressure. So whenever the osmotic pressure will be increases, when any acids are accumulated, the hypertonic will be become. As a result, the osmotic pressure will be increases. As a result, turgor pressure will be increases. That will be helpful for the entry of water into the guard cells, and thus the stomata will be open. So main ga manam guర్తుపెట్టుకోవాలి ఏంటంటే ఒక when the hypertonic is there, as a result, high osmotic pressure leads to turgor pressure, increase in turgor pressure. As a result, turgidity of the guard cells will be increases. So the water will be entering from the substrate cells into the guard cells, and these guard cells will be open. Like this, the stomata will be open. And according to this theory, the closing and opening of stomata is due to osmotic pressure caused by conversion of starch into sugar and vice versa. So this theory was proposed by Layard in 1908. During daytime, carbon dioxide released into the guard cells due to transpiration. This carbon dioxide is used for photosynthesis. And we are seeing that the Kelvin cycle will be taking place, and here this the carbon dioxide is used for this photosynthesis. Hence the pH will be 7. At this pH, insoluble starch is converted into glucose 1-phosphate. Hence the protoplasm of guard cells become hypertonic. And this hypertonic helpful for increasing the osmotic pressure, and the water will be entering into the guard cells from the substrate cells. As a result, the guard cells become turgid. The turgidity of the guard cells open the stomata. So whatever may be the theories, but the process will be same. Here that Some are saying that due to this high pH or due to this low pH or due to accumulation of the organic acids or the less accumulation of these organic acids or like this. But as a result, the turgidity of the guard cells will helpful for the opening the stomata. And during night, CO2 is released into the guard cells by respiration. In night, there is no photosynthesis, so CO2 is not used here. So carbon dioxide dissolves in cell sap to form the carbonic acid. And at this, the pH is soluble, same vice versa. So glucose 1-phosphate is converted into glucose starch. Hence, the protoplasm of the guard cells become hypotonic. Whenever these guard cells having the hypotonic, it reduces its osmotic pressure, and hence the water comes out of the guard cells. The osmotic pressure reduces. As a result, the water from the guard cells are moving to these subsidiary cells. As a result, the guard cells become flaccid, and this flaccid condition helpful for the closing of stomata. So whenever the guard cells are turgid, stomata will be open. Whenever the guard cells are flaccid, the stomata will be closed. Whenever the guard cells having the hypertonic in condition due to high osmotic pressure, the turgor pressure will be increases. Whenever this hypotonic in nature and less osmotic pressure and this turgor pressure will be decreases, and the guard cells will become flaccid and the stomata will be closed here. And next, here in the daytime and the night time, how the stomata will be open and the closing. So here in a daytime, the stomata, the respiration, after respiration, the CO2 is coming outside. That CO2 is used for the photosynthesis, and here the no carbonic acid is formed. And here they will be in high pH. Due to this high pH, the solution in the guard cell will be in hypertonic in condition, and this hypertonic condition increases the osmotic pressure. This increase in the osmotic pressure in the guard cell will now the water will enter into the guard cells from the subsidiary cells due to this increase in the osmotic pressure. Why the hypertonic condition is there? Now the guard cells become turgid whenever the water is entering into the guard cell. Now the stomata will be open. So like this vice versa. Here when the stomata will be closed when the guard cells become flaccid. That means they are not having any water. Here the osmotic pressure will be decreases. Here the hypotonic in condition, and the pH will be 5. Here the carbonic acids are formed here due to this organic acid formation. Here the not used for the photosynthesis. Like this, the stomata will be closing in the night time. And the next one is the glycolate theory. So Jellick proposed glycolate theory in 1963. According to this theory, during daytime, 2-phosphoglyceric acid is formed by the action of enzyme RUBP carboxylase ribose bisphosphate. In the presence of high concentration of O2 and low concentration of CO2, the 2-PGA is converted into glycolic acid. The glycolic acid is converted to glyoxylate by oxidation. So the glyoxylate is converted into osmotically active substance, increases the osmotic pressure of the guard cells. Whenever the osmotic pressure will be increases, the water from the substrate cells enter into the guard cells, and the cells will become turgid and the stomata will be open. So like this, the mechanism are taking place for the stomata to be open or stomata to be closed. By this opening and closing of stomata, the transpiration will be taking place. And here this transpiration pull is also helpful for the ascent of sap. For example, if you see a diagram here, the water is moving from the roots and from the xylem to the leaves. So why this water is moving? Because there is a pull is there. The water is losing from the aerial parts of a leaf. And this loss of water from the aerial parts of a plant is called as transpiration. This transpiration indirectly helps the plant to absorb water against the gravitational force. So it is called as the ascent of sap. This transpiration force, so there is a continuity of the water column will be seen from between water molecule and water molecule, from the water molecule to the xylem, and this continuity of the water will be taking place is called as the ascent of sap. So this transpiration pull is also helpful for the ascent of sap in the plants. And here some in order to avoid the more amount of in order to avoid the transpiration, we can also having some chemicals. If we spray some chemicals, also the stomata will be closing. And the hormones like abscisic acid will also play an important role in the closing of the stomata. And the substance retarding transpiration are called as antitranspirants. That means here the transpiration process is stopped by some of the substances. That substance are called as the antitranspirants. Example, if you take here colorless plastics or the low viscosity waxes and abscisic acid, carbon dioxide, here and fungicides or phenyl mercuric acetate. These are also considered as the antitranspirants. And in this, the hormone is abscisic acid. So by this by applying this anti-transpirant on the plants, so we can conserve water. We can also stop the plants further from the wilting of high intensity of the sunlight. And related to this only, there are different transpiration. The transpiration will be taking place by the stomata. 95% of will be taking place by the stomata, and some part will be taking by the cuticular transpiration. Some will be of lenticular transpiration. Along this transpiration, if the water is lost in the form of liquid, if it is lost in the form of water vapor, it is called as transpiration. If it is lost in the form of liquid, it is called as guttation. This guttation is the first of all they are confused by this guttation and the transpiration. First of all, the physiologists, but this guttation takes place by a special structure known as hydrothodes. These are present in the leaf itself, and they studied the structure of the hydrothode also. And the guttation was coined by Burgestein, and he is the first person who given the word guttation. This guttation takes place by a special structure known as hydrothodes. And this guttation is caused by the root pressure. And this root pressure is helpful for the plant to lose water in the form of a liquid. They are mainly seen in the tomato and colocasia. Even now also we will see some droplets of water on the margin of a tomato leaves. This is by the process known as the guttation. If you see this hydrothode structure, it is a special structure consisting of this epidermis, these two epidermis, and this substomatal chamber, and a special type of oval and loosely arranged cells are called as the epitherm, and which is having more intercellular space, and these are attached to the cells of the xylem. So the loss of water in the form of droplets is called as the guttation. It takes place by the hydrothodes. It is mainly caused by a physical process of root pressure. And now if you see the difference between transpiration and the guttation, this transpiration takes place by the stomata, and different types of transpirations are there. Stomatal transpiration, cuticular transpiration, and lenticular transpiration. These lenticular transpiration are mainly seen in the old stems of plants. There only 1% of this transpiration will be seen here. And this guttation is taken place by a special structure known as hydrothodes. And the process by which the water will be evaporated is released from the leaves of a plant through stomata. Here, the process by which the excess water is secreted from the vascular tissue of the plant and is expelled through hydrothodes. This process is called as the guttation. And here serves to regulate the plant water balance, cools the plant and help in nutrient absorption. This transpirations plays a very important role in ascent of sap and absorption of mineral nutrients and translocation of the solutes. And here, guttation primarily serves to relieve excess water pressure in the plant vascular tissue. And here, continuously during day and night, but more active during day when the stomata are open. Typically occur during early morning or late evening when the air is cooler and more humid. We are in winter season. We will clearly see in the early morning. If you see that leaves of this tomato or the colocasia, and occurring that occurs. Occurs through the stomata found on the underside of the leaves or above the leaves. Occurs through hydatodes and margins of leaves. These are present at the margins of leaves, at the tip of shoots or the surface of the flowers. We will see these droplets. And if you see this alocasia or the chamaganda akula paina kuda manamu ee droplets clear ga chustu untam annamata. And produce water vapor that is not visible to our naked eye. This transpiration, every plant we will see the transpiration is taking place, but we cannot see with our naked eye. But it is guttation, we can see these droplets on the leaf margins. And if you see this conclusion part of our topic, here transpiration results in transpirational pull, which thereby increase the rate of absorption. When the transpiration is more, the rate of absorption of the water will be increases, and along with minerals are also increases from the soil through roots. And transpiration helps in transportation of absorbed minerals to all parts of the plant. And transpiration provides water for the process of photosynthesis. Just you remind that if you want to have this water from the overhead tanks, మన ఇంట్లో కూడా overhead tanks లో వాటర్ ని మనం పంపించడానికి ఒక మోటార్ అనేది మనకు చాలా అవసరం. కానీ in this very high plants also the movement of water is taking place. So this by this transpirational pull, the more amount of water is also taking place from different lengths. చాలా ఎక్కువ లెంత్ ఉన్న ప్లాంట్స్ లో కూడా మన మూమెంట్ ఆఫ్ వాటర్ విల్ బి సీన్ హియర్. అండ్ అలాంగ్ దిస్ మూమెంట్ ఆఫ్ వాటర్, this movement of minerals are also taking place, and the more amount of water is also entering into the plant. And by this the transpiration is a necessary, we consider is a very important for the plants, and it is also causing a necessary evil. But when we compare to this, the benefits are more. Thank you. If you have any doubts, you can clear your doubts. ఇవాళ చెప్పుకున్న టాపిక్ అన్నమాట, అటు ఎనాటమీ అండ్ ఫిజియాలజీకి ఇంపార్టెంట్ గా ఉన్న టాపిక్. మన చిన్న డౌట్స్ ఉన్నా కూడా అడగొచ్చండి. సబ్జెక్ట్ రిలేటెడ్ కాకపోయినా కూడా మీకున్న డౌట్స్ కూడా అడగొచ్చండి.